Let's talk about some of the protests overnight, because we have to turn our attention to this ugliness. More protests four nights in a row now that these protests have been happening, and they've been smashing storefronts, smashing cars. Just take a look at the map right now, because this is where we saw it in Portland, we saw it in some different cities, but look at this. It's now even spread to Florida, upwards Boston, up into Detroit.
Here's the thing about these. Usually protests spread when their legitimacy is growing, right? If you think about that, like if legitimacy and the case is being building and things are getting bigger, this is spreading because it's intentionally being spread. More news is coming out about the funding from outside organizations, left-wing organizations, international organizations of elites that want to just say Donald Trump's not legitimate. Apparently the vote didn't matter.
And leaders behind these protests, including, we now learn, George Soros, Reverend Al Sharpton, Michael Moore, who's shown up to these protests. And so, getting out this message via social media, emails out to individuals. As Donald Trump had criticized these protests in the days after the election, they are not spontaneous. They're organized.
Right, but George Soros' piece is denying exactly what you're saying. He's saying this is not coming from outside funding. How dare you say that?
Shocking. George Soros, of course, will deny it. Having worked and seen organizations like this work for over a decade, they hide their funding. They never admit it. The group behind these protests and the ones that may happen at the inauguration, it's a group called Answer, International Answer, founded to oppose America after 9/11. It was an anti-war front group for the Marxist-Leninist Workers' Party. These are communists. These are anti-Semitics who believe that the U.S. is racist, imperialist, sexist,
but at the heart of all
crime, it's no, seriously, at the heart of it is anti-Americanism. And part of these protests are part of the reason why Donald Trump got elected. People are sick of agitators telling us that our country isn't special.
But you know what is American? Is the democracy. It's getting out and voting. And so you see these cities where you're seeing these protests, actually a lot of them stayed home and didn't vote on election day. Philadelphia, 12% down in certain sectors. Detroit, down. If they had come out and voted, we see Michigan went by just 11,000 votes to Donald Trump overnight. Michigan now.
Yeah, and now it gave him, electoral college total of 306, which no one predicted would happen. I want to ask a lot of those protesters, did you actually get out and vote?
Right.
You're out here, saying these vulgar things, causing, real violence. Did you even vote? And we've been asking this question all morning, Pete, is usually you're protesting something when you really want change. What is this for at the end of the day? Because this, as you said, is a democracy, and whether or not you support Mr. Trump or not, this was a win for voters, right? They came out and they voted for Mr. Trump, and this is a democracy, and he's now going to be our next president. So whether you like it or not, this is the reality. This is what it's going to be.
Such a great point. What is their end state? And you know what I think their end state is perpetual anarchy, perpetual disruption. They want to delegitimize Donald Trump by making it look like there's chaos in the streets, which is why they're already planning for an inauguration date, again, funded by Answer and international groups funded by George Soros. This is a plan to delegitimize Donald Trump, which is why we have to expose it for what it is.
Well, you interviewed a really interesting woman this morning, a Muslim woman, an immigrant, and she came out and said that she voted for Trump. She had some interesting things to say.
Yeah, I mean, you could call her the hidden Trump voter, even if she doesn't fit the media's demographic. Here's what she had to say this morning.
Well, as you can tell, I don't have horns on my head, right? But nonetheless, I am now being chastised as a traitor to my own liberals, as an idiot, names that I can't even repeat on air. I've had my own fellow Muslims tell me that they hope Allah will send me to the gates of hell. But, none of that matters to me, because I'm getting more responses than in my 30 years in journalism from people who are saying thank you, because they too are fed up of the polarization. And so what I hope is that my friends on the left will come to the middle, and I would gently urge my friends on the right to also come to the middle so that we can walk on the middle path.
She was saying also, it was interesting that, Oprah came out with her message.